It's noon here in Washington, D.C., and this is CarEdge Live for Friday, November 7th, with your hosts, me, Hooray, and well, that good-looking son of mine, Zach. And you can't tell in the background because, well, we're blocking the whole damn thing. But we could be. No, I'd like to be in the Maldives, maybe someday.
All right, folks, happy Friday. Grateful to be with you here. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of CarEdge Live. Today's show is brought to you by none other than
Us, damn it.
CarEdge Live. CarEdge.com, excuse me. If you haven't checked out the website, you absolutely should. Car sites show you fake prices. We work to get you the real one. That being said, we have a promotion running right now. So take advantage of this. $150 off our car buying services and 15% off CarEdge Pro, which are the tools that we use to get you the best deal. And I want to take a second, Dad. We had a new review come in just this morning.
Yes.
From our concierge service from DN. Valuable service, flawless execution, expert in my pocket.
Well, that's where you always want to keep your experts, is in your pocket.
I worked with Jerry to obtain a Ford Mustang lease in Florida. He successfully found and negotiated a spectacular lease deal, saving me time, money, and most of all the hassle of securing a new car. Because the lease was for my daughter, there was a little more complexity, which Jerry navigated expertly. When it came to working and interacting with Jerry, it was excellent. His decades of industry experience combined with his professionalism were the right combination for me. His communication cadence was appropriate and as expected. He was available at all times and quick to respond. It goes on and on and on. So thank you for that. And right below is from Carl. Yesterday, Dad, I chose to use CarEdge Pro as I searched for a good used car. Phil from CarEdge contacted me immediately and explained how the process worked. I've been very impressed with how quickly he responds to any questions I have, and how well the AI agent gets information from dealers. So folks, please, if you haven't checked out what we've built, CarEdge.com. Ad out of the way. Now, the big stories this morning, Dad, we're going to start with Ford, and then we'll turn our attention to CarMax. Ford is pulling the plug potentially on the F-150 Lightning. This is a big freaking deal. Ford had 100,000 reservations.
I think it was 150,000. 150 million.
A bajillion. Ford had a bajillion. All these legacy automakers had all these promises for what electric vehicles were going to be. And obviously, full-size pickup trucks for EVs was supposed to be the next greatest thing. Ram had already pulled back. Ram never released their electric pickup truck. They pulled back production for a year. Ford has pulled back production recently, and now their COO coming out and saying, hey, we may actually be killing off this nameplate altogether. What is your reaction to this, Pops?
Well, it's shocking.
It is pretty shocking.
And once that damn battery runs out, there will be no shocks anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, all the legacy manufacturers bought into the concept of EVs are the wave of the future. It's where we're headed. It's the alternative fuel source that the world needs. And that might be true. But it appears as if, at least in the United States of America, that those who wanted EVs have chosen those EVs, and the rest of us have said maybe not.
And so the dollar and cents argument here is pretty clear. So Ford dealers make no money when they sell an F-150 Lightning. There's no profit from the dealer invoice price to the price that they sell them at. That's the reality. That was the whole initiative when Ford came up with Ford Blues. There's just a price, and it is what it is. The manufacturer, Ford, does not make money producing the F-150 Lightning.
They lose money.
They lose money. So there's a dollars and cents argument here for why they would just stop production altogether, remove the nameplate, like get rid of it. And I think it could be the beginning of a handful of nameplates that go by the wayside. Honda, Dad, recently came out with their earnings, and they had a huge hit from all of the electric vehicle investments they've made that are not panning out. General Motors took a multi-billion-dollar hit. Polestar took almost $1 billion hit. Like, it is shocking, but in the same breath, it's also like not too unexpected because we've been seeing the writing on the wall for a little bit here.
It appears as if, I think everybody, at least in the United States, I can't speak about Europe. I can't speak about China. But in the United States, it just appears as if the public has spoken, and the expected demand it wasn't quite as large as what everybody had thought it was going to be. The manufacturer that played it best, in my opinion, is Toyota. Are they electrifying what they are doing? Yeah, nobody has done more with hybrids. Will they be bringing out more PHEVs in the future? Will there be more battery electric vehicles in the future for them? They still think the future could be hydrogen. So you look at what everybody thought was going to happen. And, much like our crystal ball, their crystal ball that they bought at the dollar store, just like us, is cloudy as well.
Yeah, let's take a moment to acknowledge this. It's not like it's cheap for Ford to walk back and take the F-150 Lightning out of market. It's not cheap. There's going to be a huge expense associated with that. There was a tremendous expense to obviously do the research and development to build the doggone thing, to market it, to distribute it, to service it. I mean, there's just cost. There's dollar signs everywhere.
Yes.
And the idea of even pulling it out essentially says that we don't think we can make money on this thing long term because it's going to cost us a boatload more money today to take it out of the market. I mean, it's really damning, Dad. And then you do look at the Toyotas of the world who have been much more pragmatic on their EV strategies, and they're sitting pretty right now.
Yeah.
Sitting really pretty. I think this is huge news. If Ford does go through with this and they pull back on the F-150 Lightning, that's huge news.
Even if they don't kill the vehicle altogether, they were producing about 950 Lightnings a week. And they have indicated to their suppliers that if they continue to build them, that number will drop to like 225 a week.
So even if they don't kill it, they're getting rid of the inventory.
Well, they're not replacing inventory. I mean, you're reducing your production by almost 70%.
If you don't mind, Dad, humor me for a second here. You know I love to do this. Let's go to the CarEdge machine, and what I want to look at, I just clicked on Shop New. Yes. I want to look at Ford. We don't need to be doing nationwide. Let's go within 100 miles of Decatur, Georgia. Okay. And I want to look now at, let's find it, F-150 Lightning.
Yes.
I'm just curious what these MSRPs are, what these prices are. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, 73,415, 74,940, 75,765, 66, 68, yeah. 66, 67, 68, 80, a row of 81s, a row of 80s, 280. I mean, so these are quite expensive.
Well, the cheapest ones we saw were just under $67,000.
66,940 bucks.
Yeah.
Now let me just jump over to F-150s. Okay, maybe my attempt here to illustrate that the electric ones are more expensive may fail. $86,000. 301 days on the market. I wonder why. I wonder why.
Me too.
85,000, 79,000. Holy cannoli. 85, 78. Okay, the point I was going to try and make is that Ford's electric vehicles are more expensive.
Are too expensive, but
the other point we just made is Ford's vehicles are just too expensive.
They're pickup trucks.
At least Ford makes money when they sell internal combustion engine versions of the F-150.
Yes, and
that was a nuts live experiment.
Okay.
That was crazy.
Well, what it shows is that Ford believes when it comes to pickup trucks that there's no ceiling for what you can price them at. I would venture a guess that they could be wrong.
Yeah.
They might be wrong, but yet it is still the number one selling pickup truck in America. So they figured something out with that. Now, apparently, even though the Lightnings are less expensive than the gas versions that we see here, there doesn't seem to be the same level of consumption for the electric version of the F-150 as there is for an internal combustion engine F-150.
Well, let's look at a little bit of the market conditions, and then we'll turn over to the interesting CarMax news that we have and more analysis there. I clicked on one of these, Dad. We've got the 2025 F-150 King Ranch.
Yes.
This is an internal combustion engine, normal F-150. $79,840. It pains me to say normal F-150 and $79,840 in the same breath, but whatever. The invoice price that the dealer paid to acquire this vehicle is $74,650.
So they've got $5,000 worth of margin to play with.
And I'm scrolling down to the market conditions, and here they are right here. This particular vehicle's only been on the market for 61 days, but there have been 4 similar F-150 King Ranches that have sold in the last 45 days within 100 miles of this one, yet there are 29 actively for sale. This number is way too high.
Yes.
So it's out of whack for Ford there. Now let's go back.
And if the dealer does the same thing that you just did, the dealer is going to look at that and go, 61 days, we might not sell it for another 240 days.
Yeah.
So, maybe they would be compelled, maybe they would feel compelled or motivated in order to make it go away sooner, because they know typically these things sit in this market.
Yeah, I think you could be onto something.
Yeah.
Now let's come over here, Dad. We've got a 2025 F-150 Lightning.
Yes.
$68,570. We do have a little bit of a delta between the invoice price and the MSRP. So curious to see if that's something that Ford dealers now are making a little bit of money there. But I'm scrolling down here. 10 have sold in the last 45 days, which were out. This is after 45 days. This is after the federal tax credits have gone away. So that's
it's not.
Oh, it's not?
It's during.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you 8 of the 10 of them sold in the latter part of September.
On the 44th. Yeah. You're right. So we've got a 54-day supply here.
Yes.
So anyway, interesting to see here. No matter how you slice it, if Ford goes through with this rumor right now,
yes,
to get rid of the F-150 Lightning, I think it could be the first domino of many to fall in the auto industry here in the United States, where automakers decide to get rid of electric vehicles.
Well, everybody said that the Lightning's major competition was going to be the Tesla Cybertruck, and nothing against Tesla, but the Cybertruck has been as big a disappointment as Tesla has ever had. From the 150 million reservations they had.
Everyone's got reservations out the wazoo.
Yeah. You go to resi.com and and then you cancel. And because we know that when there was a recall recently of all of them, it was like 86,000 trucks.
Cybertruck hasn't sold. F-150 Lightning hasn't sold. The Silverado EVs sold okay, but not great. No, none of them have been strong.
Rivian's struggling. Everybody. So maybe there's just not a market for EV pickup trucks.
Well, in the same exact breath, we know that new car inventory in general is growing because prices have gotten so high. So maybe the other piece of this puzzle is it's just expensive vehicles. It could be powertrain agnostic. It's just people don't want these expensive vehicles. They want lower price points. Do EVs drive up price or lower price? They drive up price. It costs the manufacturer more. So it's an interesting dynamic. Let's switch gears, Dad. Let's talk a little bit about CarMax. We spoke about it yesterday. The news broke right before we went live. The CEO of CarMax has been asked to step down. He got fired. Now,
that's a nice way to put it.
He got asked to step down.
Yeah.
Now, used car prices over the past few years have gone up more than 55%. During that exact same time, Dad, CarMax's stock, which this is not financial advice here on this channel, but CarMax's stock has fallen 80% from their all-time highs. When you start to look at the CarMax story, it shows pretty clearly that they are struggling to sell cars. They're struggling to make as much money per vehicle. And there was an interesting comment in this Wolf Street article. So much of this, their theory is tied to dynamic pricing, which was really interesting. I'm going to scroll down here to this. Give me a second, folks. Give me a second.
Yeah, the dynamic pricing is CarMax's way of screwing you for showing interest in a vehicle.
Let me. Yeah. So I'll read this from Wolf Street. Insidiously, CarMax switched to dynamic pricing on its website some years ago, and during its earnings calls has taken great pride in it, though it's a no haggle dealer at all of its stores. If a vehicle in its inventory gets increased interest on its website, its price goes up. So if you look at a specific vehicle several times over a period of a few days while you're shopping around and other people are interested in it too, you might notice that by the time you decide to buy it, its price has increased by $1,000. Dynamic pricing is now everywhere. Haggling over a price on the lot is a classic game and rather benign compared to the insidious strategy of dynamic pricing, but hopefully consumers punish these dealers by buying somewhere else, thereby forcing these dealers to issue revenue and earnings warnings that annihilate their stock. So again, this is Wolf Street's comments, not our comments, but I'm going to obviously get my dad's take here. A really interesting dynamic, which is used car prices up 55%. CarMax brings to market dynamic pricing based on the amount of interest in a vehicle. We're going to raise or lower the price. And now their stock down 80% and their CEO ousted. Yeesh.
Where do you think they learned it from?
Dynamic pricing?
Yeah.
Look at.
I'll tell you where I think they learned it from. I believe they learned it from
Uber,
the airline industry.
Yeah.
If you start shopping for airfares and you find a good airfare and you don't buy it that day and you keep checking that airfare, the thing you'll start to notice is that suddenly that airfare gets more expensive instead of getting less expensive. So airlines have been doing dynamic pricing for years. And that's why you could be on a flight where you paid $150 for a seat and you're sitting next to somebody that paid $450. You would think that the price is the price, but it ain't.
Yeah.
And so, CarMax is doing the same exact thing. Now, is that good or bad? It appears as if it's bad.
Yeah, it appears for their business it's been bad.
And yet the reason people shop at CarMax is because they don't want to have to go through the haggling and the hassle of haggling to negotiate a lower price. The whole concept is the price is the price. You're going to pay it. We don't have to talk about it. It's really simple. But the unfortunate reality is the price that you first saw compared to the price that you eventually may buy it for could significantly increase because you and some other folks showed some interest. Now, that's not to say if I were, curious about how corporations operate, that they might not employ people just to go on their website and look at specific cars.
Make sure you say the thing you need
in
to
my
say.
opinion,
Yeah, there it is.
So that they dynamically increase the price of it when they see that somebody's looked at a vehicle 3 or 4 times.
Regardless if you buy into my dad's conspiracy theory about employing staff to look at your own cars for sale, I do think the dynamic of dynamic pricing paired with a 55% increase in used car prices over 2 years, that's a slippery slope. And they're now realizing the implications of that, which are fewer people buying their vehicles and making less money per vehicle sold, which we're seeing the same thing on the new car side, which we'll talk about in a moment as well. But it's a bad moment at CarMax.
Well, and I believe I said it yesterday. I think one of the outcomes from this is typically they are willing to offer more for cars that people are trading in.
Yeah, we said it yesterday.
Yes.
I should say again, we have a commercial partnership with CarMax.
Yes.
You can sell your car to CarMax through CarEdge. So we are partners with them in that capacity.
And I believe what we're going to see happen moving forward is that the amounts that they're willing to pay are going to go down to some degree to be more realistic as to what the market conditions are. They have, much like Carvana, been able to artificially afford to pay more for the same type of vehicle because of their pricing strategy, which is you don't get to negotiate the price. You're buying from us for the convenience. And, well, if the stock is not performing well, sales are not performing well, profit level per vehicle sold is not performing well, what are the things that you have to address to improve that? And one of the things would be you have to lower the cost of acquiring your inventory and how much you're willing to pay for that inventory.
We've been talking about this for a while now. If you're in the market to buy a car and you have a car to sell, it might make sense to actually do that deal today because trade-in values are already going down. And then to your point, there's now like the acute interest on CarMax. They're probably going to be lowering offers, is at least our estimation, and something that we can track too.
Yes.
Through the data that we have. It'll be super interesting.
You know,
to see.
I got a notice from Carvana the other day about my buddy Lee's Subaru that he has, and the value of it had dropped like $900 in 10 days.
It's a big drop.
Significant drop, yes. So I my suspicion is that all of these mass used car dealers, CarMax and Carvana, are in the process of reevaluating what it is that they're willing to pay for the inventory that they need.
Being more conservative.
Well, yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You know, it is interesting because, again, we see that there are used car prices at the wholesale auctions falling precipitously. Over 1% in 1 week is what we talked about. I think it was yesterday, which is a plummet. Like, that does not happen. And so that's going to influence their strategies. But yeah, the CarMax experiment is definitely running into some trouble right now. I will also say, Dad, we provide price history charts back on CarEdge.com. And, you know, I bet you a lot of normal car dealerships also employ dynamic pricing or evolved pricing that, you know, changes very often. And so sometimes we see price history charts that look crazy.
Yes.
But I think it's important to like drum up interest, to get the price drop alert, things like that. So it is something to keep your eyes on if you're out there shopping. Know that CarMax does this. I wouldn't be surprised if Carvana does it too. And then obviously some local dealers might be playing these types of games as well.
Yeah, no, dynamic pricing is a blessing and a curse all at the same time.
Okay, now another story I want to touch on very briefly, then we're going to go to Q&A. It's Friday, so we do Q&A. All 6 public dealership groups could see repeat of Q3 new vehicle gross profit decline in Q4.
Yes.
Some stats from this, Dad, across the board, whether it's AutoNation or Group 1, et cetera. We're seeing like 10% declines in profits for these car dealership groups. So, you know, the story continues to be more of a buyer's market, less of a seller's market. They're making less per vehicle sold. They're still making plenty of money, but they're making less, which means more leverage for smart customers.
And you know, when we say it's a buyer's market, we say that gross profits are going down, and they are. That doesn't necessarily equate to us saying, oh, and by the way, this represents a good value. Because in many cases it doesn't. I mean, these things were so overpriced to begin with. You know, and that started in 2020 and ran through 2022, where it was just so many people out there suffering from the fear of missing out that they overpaid for everything, whether it be a new vehicle or a used vehicle. And, you know, we've seen some return to normalcy, but even with the size of discounts going up and things of that nature, the pricing is still staggeringly higher than it probably should and could be.
Now, the one place where the pricing is not staggeringly high, would
that be here at CarEdge?
CarEdge.com. Again, folks, we've got a promotion running right now. $150 off the buying service, 15% off CarEdge Pro. One thing I want to call out here, 2 things actually.
Yes.
If you go to the car buying service page, you can book a free consultation call. So please have a free conversation with us to see if this is a good fit. And then the second thing, Dad, you can meet the concierge team, and you can click into anyone's profile and learn a little bit more about them, how long they've been in the industry, how much they've helped our customers save in total, the deals that they've closed. You can see the specifics here as well. So please, folks, take some time, head back to CarEdge.com, meet our team, book that consultation call, and take advantage of our promotion.
And at some point, we're going to have a running ticker.
Eventually,
with the savings as it continues to grow, the amount of money we have saved people, and we'll just see that number ticking up on a daily, maybe minute-by-minute basis.
Now, it's Friday, so that means from over on the CarEdge community forum, caredge.com/community, we've got some questions we need to answer. Thank you, Space. Every Friday, we address the questions that he opens up on this thread right here. So, Dad, let's go ahead and do it. Let's start here from Ryan. How do you see the new tax-deductible interest laws on new cars affecting the market? Will this have an impact on the new and used car market? Do you think manufacturers and dealers will start advertising some kind of tax-adjusted APR? This is such an interesting one because it doesn't really have much of an impact.
It does not. And the reason it does, and and this is on domestic vehicles only if
Yep.
you finance them. And I believe it's a maximum of $10,000.
Yeah.
And so in order to have $10,000 worth of interest on a car loan, you could be financing a small amount at a very high interest rate,
Yep.
or a gigantic amount at a reasonable interest rate. But in order to be able to maximize that benefit, it's just going to require either an unreasonable interest rate or an unreasonable loan amount. Will it help? Can it help? Will it make new vehicles more affordable again because of that tax deduction? I think perhaps. I think on paper it sounds better than it really is.
Yeah, the magnitude's a scale, because also think about the interest is accrued over the lifetime of a loan. So it's like, to get $10,000 of annual interest tax deduction. I mean, it's nuts.
Yeah.
10,000 over the lifetime of a loan, not that crazy.
Yeah.
But that's over 7 years in many cases. So anyway, I think it's a nice headline, but in practice it doesn't do too much.
It is much like corporate speak. And what I mean by that is, well, the devil is in the details.
Yep.
And we leave the details out just so the headline looks better.
All right, let's come here from Fletch. Is there any information anywhere where we can find out how much it costs the manufacturer to build their vehicle? I know there are a ton of parameters here that can affect the cost, but pick any vehicle in general. What does it cost to put it together as it rolls down the assembly line? I guess what I'm trying to say is, how much is the manufacturer making on cars that roll off their assembly lines? To be clear, you get dealer invoice price as part of CarEdge Pro, but that's different. That's different. That's what the dealership pays.
Yes.
The question here from Fletch is, what does the manufacturer pay to produce it?
I don't know. Is there a way to figure it out based on, manufacturers annually will list how many vehicles they've sold. What do I mean by that? When I say sold, it's like, how many vehicles have they wholesaled to their dealer body? And then you could look at their profits, and you could divide the profits by the number of vehicles, but we don't know that that's the number of vehicles that they've produced.
I would say the short answer here is no. There isn't a place that you can do it. You've got something like space. He's saying it's 50% of the manufacturing, but and maybe Mario, you know more than I do on that. I would say the short answer to this is no. That's the secret sauce. That's their business. Unfortunately, we don't have a great answer there. From Kareen,
yes.
What's your take on CarMax? Is it a good idea to just pay that price plus $7.99? Thanks, guys. You two are great.
I think based on the conversation we had prior to this, probably not.
Yeah. I'd use our concierge service. That's what I would do.
Yes.
From Joshua. How much under MSRP did Zach pay for his most recent vehicle? Did he get any dealer installed options? The most recent car I've purchased, this has been a long time ago. I mean, this was what, 7 years ago now? 6 years ago? 7? 8?
Might be 8.
I haven't bought a car in 8 years.
Yeah.
And it was a used car I bought.
And you haven't owned a car in 4 years.
I haven't owned a car in 4 years. Yeah. So, but no, my dad came with me. That was part of the inspiration to start CarEdge, was the realization that it was really easy because my dad was there. How do we make that more accessible to everyone? So Josh didn't buy any dealer installed options. It was a used vehicle. From Paul.
Yes.
Is it better to lease a 26 Tundra and buy it at the end of the lease if there are no engine issues, or buy it out right now? This is a great question. The idea of lease versus buy, or lease to buy. How do you think about that, Dad?
Typically, you will, if your plan is to lease a vehicle first and then buy it out at the end of the lease, typically it will eventually and ultimately cost you more to have done it that way. Why do I say that? Well, you'll certainly have your lease payment, and then you have the residual amount that you can buy it for at the end. And most people aren't going to have the cash, so they are then going to finance that as a used vehicle at slightly higher interest rates, so that once you have factored in the total cost, including interest and everything else, from first leasing it and then buying it, ultimately you end up paying more than if you had just purchased it and financed it for 6 years or 7 years.
Yep. So there you go. Lease to buy is not a better financial decision in this case with the Tundra, but the engine issues, I don't know.
And sometimes,
but it's going to be under warranty either way.
Yeah, but sometimes it can, if the residual is significantly less than what the market conditions are at the time the lease ends. We lived through that period of time 3 years ago, 3 years ago. That was an anomaly and something that we rarely see.
Now, 2 questions here, Dad, from Rick. What happens to vehicles that are not sold? Is it true that they will recycle the vehicles instead of giving them a heavy discount? One of the first viral videos we ever had the pleasure of producing on YouTube talks about this. There's such thing as an unsold new car.
Once a vehicle is shipped to a dealership and the dealership has paid for it through their floor plan, the line of credit, it is the dealership's responsibility to figure out how to get rid of it. And they can either get rid of it selling it to a retail customer, and if that doesn't work out, I have seen new cars being sold as used cars at the auctions, where a dealer will buy a new car for less than what the invoice amount was, and then it'll get retailed as a used car with no miles. But anytime a vehicle gets wholesaled to a dealer, it's the dealer's responsibility to move it. That vehicle somehow, somewhere, some way will get sold. They might not be the dealer that sells it to the eventual retail customer, but it will get sold.
And then a final question here. Do you think car prices and pickup truck prices will be discounted? There appears to be an incredible overstocking that is apparent. We continue to think that the fourth quarter here, between November, December, we see new car inventory levels going up. We see customer demand going down. That leads to one thing and one thing only. It's supply and demand.
Yes.
The price has to go lower. So yes, we anticipate seeing discounting.
Yeah, we would think that between the dealers recognizing the cost of carrying that inventory, that they'll understand that they'll have to do more in discounting in order to encourage a customer, and the manufacturers will realize that they have to do more in the form of incentives to encourage the customer.
And again, we are public with the deals that our team is able to secure for customers. Here's Nick recently, for example, Nissan Leaf, Dad. We're talking $5,000 off of MSRP here. We got a used Toyota Tacoma, $1,750, a new Kia Telluride, $1,500, a used Mazda CX-5, $2,100, a Camry, $2,500 off a Camry. So
and that was the 2026.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Out in California. So, we are seeing discounting. We are seeing deals. And again, you can get a sense and a temperature check for what those are back on the CarEdge.com website. All right, folks, we're back on. Actually, I got to double check. We're back. No, we're back on Monday. We're back on Monday. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, we're back on Monday. Tuesday, I don't think I'm going to be able to do live with you. But we're back Monday.
Good.
We'll see you back here on Monday, folks. If we can help out with anything, CarEdge.com. Please continue to spread the word. It's a lot of people going shopping right now, and we would love to be able to help them. And Dad, thanks for coming to DC. Good to spend time with you.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And hey, everybody, have a great weekend out there. And I hope your favorite football team